Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I'm bringing you a simple yet fun Void Hunter build to the channel. With this build, you'll be able to weaken and suppress everything while also gaining half your super energy back almost immediately with the activation of your super. We will also be playing an important finisher mod into the build, along with Wish Ender for some free super energy just by getting critical hits, and an infinite cycle of grenades with that finisher mod. Without further ado, let's get into the build. First thing we're going to do is go in our subclass and put on Deadfall. Deadfall is what's going to give you half your super back and also weaken and suppress enemies as long as they're tied to your void anchors, which is how we're going to bully that Tormentor and also just any enemy that basically comes in your path. For the class ability, I'm running Marksman Dodge because you can dodge sooner and we're going to go invisible just by dodging, and I don't really use the melee at all in this build, so I don't run Gamblers, so Marksman's the one you're going to want to run. Since we only have one melee, that's the melee we're going to use for your grenade. Vortex Grenade is the best grenade on pretty much every class unless you're going for a certain grenade build. Vortex is always the one you should be able running, especially if you want to weaken enemies. And also, it just does the best overall damage when you have a huge group of enemies, so I like to run Vortex. For the two aspects, I have Stylish Executioner, defeating weakened, suppressed, or volatile targets, grant invisibility and true sight. With the mods on your artifact this season, where you pick up an orb and get volatile rounds, if you're running any void weapon, this is insane because you're basically going to go invisible all the time. It's almost like running Gerfalcons kind of, but without running it obviously. So if you also just knife anything while you're invisible, it weakens a target too, which is kind of cool, so it's also fun to run this. I'm also running Vanishing Step because that's what's going to make us go invisible when we dodge, and we still get 2 fragments out of it, so we're going invisible just by having our dodge all the time, which we're going to get from void breaches quickly and other stuff that's going to give us our glass ability back too, and we'll just be able to get out of sticky situations with this. And for the fragments, I'm running Echo of Persistence. It's just going to give us more time on our invisibility and all that stuff. Echo of Undermining is going to weaken targets when we throw grenades at them. Simple. It's like a 15% debuff when you weaken an enemy with this fragment, so definitely be throwing this on because you're going to do some extra damage to champions or whatever you need to get damage off of, so definitely be running this. Echo of Cessation. Finish your final blows, create a burst of void damage that causes nearby combatants to become volatile, and defeating volatile targets create a void breach. Defeating the volatile targets with the void and getting the void breach is going to be very beneficial for getting our class ability back quick. And also the volatile burst that's going to be created by doing a finisher, it's going to pair nicely with Echo of Obscurity, which is going to make us go invisible whenever we do a finisher. And that's also going to tie into our mod that I'm going to show you guys later in the video. So these two plus the mod are going to pair perfectly, so throw those on. Then of course I'm running Wish Ender. This thing is one shot to any barrier champions, or at least to their shields, so you don't have to worry about like running any other barrier weapons. Although I don't know why I ran the pistol in this video because it's also a barrier weapon. If you want to throw on the new Guardian Games SMG that also has repulsor brace, you should be doing that. I didn't run that, but that would pair well with this because you could take out overloads and barriers. Wish Ender is also going to give us a lot of super energy when we get crit damage and kills with it. I'm not sure why it gives you so much, but I mean, I'm not complaining because it's pairing nicely with this. If you already have halfway of your super done and you just run Wish Ender and get a couple hits on some enemies, you're already going to have it back, and you can just spam that thing whenever you're in crowds of enemies and repeat the cycle. And finally for our armor, I'm running Helmet with Void Siphon, Kinetic Siphon, and Dynamo. So both our Void and Kinetic weapon are generating orbs that we can pick up for the armor charges that we need, and also some extra super energy. And I have Dynamo on, so whenever we're dodging around enemies, which we'll do a lot for going invisible, we'll get a nice bump of super energy, which is going to play beautifully into all the other stuff that's getting us energy quick, so I definitely like to be running this. On the gauntlets, I'm running 2 bolstering detonations, so our grenade gets our class ability back quicker, and a firepower, so our grenade is getting us at least some orbs if we do get kills with it, since we're using it constantly. On the chest armor, I'm just running all resistances, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff in this game, or at least recently with the difficulty scale, that is kind of fucking you over, especially the Cabal with a lot of these damage types. I just like to run this to stay alive as much as I can. The leg armor that we're using with this build is Orpheus Rig. A lot of people don't really run this because there's a lot of better void options, but I recently came back to this exotic and I'm really liking it. It's what's giving us the half super energy back whenever we're just getting all those enemies tethered at once in big huge groups, and pairing that with other things that are getting us our super back quick. This is honestly a very underrated exotic and makes Deadfall an even better super, so I would definitely be running this. I have stacks on stacks and innervation on the leg armor. That's just grenade cooldown, and that's going to give us a stack every time we pick up an orb, an extra stack, so that's going to play nice to our final mods down here. On our class ability, I'm running an explosive finisher. This is what's going to give us a grenade every time we have 3 armor charges. We're going to do a finisher. We're going to go invisible and create a volatile burst while we're in that finisher, but we're also going to be getting a grenade back, which is going to be beautiful because basically as long as you're getting orbs all the time, getting armor charges, you can just use your finisher and spam grenades pretty much as long as you're repeating the cycles. So I definitely be throwing that on. I'm also running a bomber and a reaper just because we're going to get a orb when we use our class ability to weapon kill, and bombers just throwing their extras in case we don't get a finisher, and you just want some extra grenade energy, I guess. I didn't really know what else to put there. You can do whatever, but that's what I have on there. Before I finish off the build, last thing I'd recommend is going in your artifact and putting on picking up an orb of power, grants your void weapons volatile rounds. The first time you break a combatant's shield, you create an orb of power. You break the shield with the matching damage type. This can give you a lot of super energy. That orb that it drops gives you a big chunk, so this is actually a very good perk. If you guys enjoy this build, make sure to leave a like, and if you're new, possibly subscribe. Just want to do something simple and also something original because I don't really see a lot of people doing a build on this kind of stuff. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.